Well, I'm really glad you came here today. My name is Beth Manning, and I'm an intern at Valley Hope, and I'll be doing um, a short screening today. Um, but before we get into that, I would like if you could tell me, what do you do?
My name is John Manning. I am a field artillery officer in the United States Army. I am currently a platoon leader. I run a platoon of 35 men. We manage a light howitzer artillery platoon, and I was stationed at Fort Campbell, and we do training to keep ourselves ready for whatever the next mission may be. We just got back from Romania on a cultural exchange rotation mission there. We're in the process of recovering from that before we go on to future things.
And so I hear you're a platoon leader. You just got back from a deployment, and and you're getting ready for the next thing now.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
We're in the middle ground between one major muscle movement and the next. Right now, most of our equipment is still at the port. It's working its way back to us. So in the meantime, we're just recovering people in the best way we can. Currently on my 10-day leave that comes with that, and everyone else is slowly getting back into the normal rhythm of things back stateside, because we've been out of town, for lack of a better term, for the last few months.
Wow. Well, welcome back. Welcome back, John. Can you share with me what your housing situation's like if you who lives with you or anything like that?
Sure. So I currently live off post. Most of my peers, most of the other officers also live off post. I have a house. I live with one roommate. I met him while being at Fort Campbell. He used to, the previous job I had before being a platoon leader, I worked in we call it fire support. We plan artillery fires in support of a maneuver company's operation. So we enable their actions to get more decisive results through our support. That's what my job description was prior to this. My current roommate was in one of the other companies doing the same jobs. We worked together a lot. So I knew him through there, and he was in a position where he was leaving his apartment, and he needed a place, and I had an extra room. So now I live with one roommate. I live off post. It's a pretty nice house, in my opinion at least. I've been there for actually just over a year now. Closed on the house, I would say, end of last February, and so now we're in March, we're beginning of April, so a little bit more than a year and a month or so. And been thanks to the deployment, only been there for a few of those months, but still though, it's nice to have a place on my own.
Right. Oh, that's really beautiful, John. So some of the things I hear is you met your roommate through your previous job, and you've lived in your current house for a little over a year. Technically, not that entire time, because as you just shared, you just got back from your deployment, and and you felt comfortable with this person being your roommate, and that's really beautiful. Also, when you have free time, what do you do when you're not at work and when you're not at home? How do you enjoy yourself?
Depends on the amount of time. After work, I've been picking up reading more and more lately. I've been having that free time. I like to see new restaurants and whatnot. So I've been I had one of my previous close friends who went to Marquette with me. He used to live in Nashville, and so mostly almost every other weekend, I'd be going down. Clarksville is about a little bit less than an hour north of Nashville. Would go down to Nashville, and we'd go to different places in the downtown strip and try out different places. So I like exploring that, seeing different things of that nature. Hanging out with some of my friends. A lot of my friends are from work. It's kind of the nature of the game. A lot of Clarksville isn't where a lot of people from Marquette move to, so I'm naturally with other people who I meet through the Army, and that's just kind of how that all shakes out. So I end up hanging with a lot of people that I meet from work in places outside of work, but just how that goes. For a lot of it, it's just exploring and seeing new places and just trying to relax whenever I can.
Wow, so some of the things I hear you saying, John, is sometimes you just simply go like maybe less than an hour away, and you're trying out new restaurants and exploring new things. And those are some of the things that you do when you're not at work and not at home that provides you joy.
And if it's like a longer weekend, like I'll try to like, and we have some force out, and I will try to like organize something with some of my other friends, like from Marquette, for example, who like everyone kind of scattered the wind. So I have some people up in Chicago and other people down in Texas, down in the Austin area. So depending on like how much time, like when they're free and when I'm free, if we can make a meeting happen, then that was a more exciting weekend.
So the other thing I also hear is you have connections with a lot of friends, like in other areas like Chicago and in North Carolina and Texas. Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah.
It's difficult like at the distance, but we all try. Fortunately, we're all trying to like still keep in touch, which makes it easier on everyone else.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad that you're taking this time to be with me today, John. As I shared earlier, one of the things, like through our just discussions, I thought it'd be a good idea to just explore this alcohol screening questionnaire called an audit, and to just see where your substance use like falls on the spectrum, especially as you're returning from this deployment.
Logical.
And so one of the things I would like you to be as honest and accurate as this is a safe space, and if you have any questions or you don't understand anything, I ask for clarification. A lot of these questions, there's 10 questions, and they talk about one drink. And so the first thing I wanted to make sure you understood is like this questionnaire, it defines like one drink is either like 12 ounces of beer or 5 ounces of wine or 1.5 ounces of liquor. Essentially
shot.
one shot.
Yes.
And so whenever you hear me say something, a drink in a period of time, that's what I'm referring to. Either like the equivalent of 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces.
Sure. One standard drink is what we call it.
Yeah. So I'm really glad that you understand this. So we're gonna get started on this, and we'll just like score it, and we'll just see how it goes. Yeah. So the first question is, how often do you have a drink containing alcohol? And your choices are never, monthly or less, 2 to 4 times a month, 2 to 3 times a week, or 4 more times a week. How often do you think you have a drink containing alcohol, John?
We'll say on average like a day, like per week. So like either Friday or Saturday, pretty consistently. Sometimes twice in a weekend, but we'll say on average once a week.
Once a week.
So I guess four. There's usually
So like 4 times a month.
Yeah, there's usually 4 weekends in a month, so I would say 4 is the most honest answer.
Yeah. Awesome. And the second question is, how many drinks containing alcohol do you have on a typical day when you are drinking? And the choices here are 0 to 2, 3 or 4, 5 or 6, 7 to 9, or 10 or more.
I think 5 to 6 would be probably the most accurate for a good average.
Yeah. Great. And the third question is, how often do you have 5 or more drinks on one occasion? The choices are never, less than monthly, weekly, daily, or almost daily.
I say between monthly and less than monthly, so like not every weekend, but like we'll go I'd say like 2 of those 4 weekends probably. So if 2 is an option, so I guess monthly sounds the closest.
Probably monthly is the closest.
Monthly sounds
that's
like the
good,
closest to an accurate answer.
Yeah. The fourth question is, how often during the last year have you found that you were not able to stop drinking once you had started? Your choices are never, less than monthly, weekly, daily, or almost daily.
Even though for in this exact moment, the last year is like a lot less opportunities. It's the answer still is I would say never. Where to make sure I hear the question correctly, I've started in this scenario. I've started drinking and I can't stop.
Right.
in
right,
that
right.
time of drinking. In that
Like in that
period.
experience, like you've been, what I'm hearing you say, sometimes on a one day of each weekend you might drink. On those times, have you ever experienced in the last year where you're with friends, you said, I'm going to only drink whatever, and you found yourself unable to like stick to that?
Yeah, that I think pretty confidently say never.
Okay. Number 5. How often during the last year have you failed to do what was normally expected of you because of drinking? Your choices are never, less than monthly, monthly, weekly, daily, or almost daily.
Again, like it's pretty convenient for me because like there's no option to the repercussions are pretty bad. So so never. No,
So this is
I have not had to miss a work function or like call in sick to work or really
How about
cancel plans. I guess.
Yeah, like you're not able to go to work.
No. The answer would be
It
never
has
to
to.
that.
Okay.
Go to work because as a result of drinking. I would say never to that.
Okay, yeah. The 6th question is, how often during the last year have you needed a first drink in the morning to get yourself going after a heavy drinking session? Never, less than monthly, monthly, weekly, daily, or almost daily.
This is a preliminary drink on the day after a heavy drinking, or this is a preliminary drink before going to work.
So I would go with this scenario. One of the things I've heard you say is sometimes one day of each weekend you sometimes drink.
Sure.
Okay.
Usually the Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, so the Friday or Saturday, and now go, like if it's Friday night, then we're looking at Saturday morning. If it's Saturday night, we're looking at Sunday morning.
Okay.
Okay, so on that Saturday morning or that Sunday morning, how often have you needed a drink in the morning?
That new morning.
That new morning,
Okay.
like the Saturday after the Friday,
Yep.
or the Sunday after the Saturday,
Okay.
to get yourself going after the heavy drinking session.
I would say never. It's usually,
Okay.
usually just like a Gatorade and then like a antacid like tablet and probably like some McDonald's.
Okay, so a Gatorade and antacid and McDonald's is, if that said that, then it would save you more often.
Yeah, that would be much more consistent. I think.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you for sharing that, John. The 7th question is, how often during the last year have you had a feeling of guilt or remorse after drinking? Your choices are never, less than monthly, monthly, weekly, daily, or almost daily.
I think I know what I'm doing most of the time, so I would say never.
Okay, so there's never a feeling of guilt or remorse.
Like
That's what you're saying.
I have not had like I've ruined a function or like kind of boiling back to other questions where like I've had to miss work and like those things are what's coming to mind if that question applied to me, but I can't think of like really regretting things.
Okay,
It's
so
usually a fun experience. Like returns,
Yeah.
like it's a good time because I'm with people. So it's just
So
like
I'm hearing your answer is never, but the answer would be that would cause a feeling of guilt or remorse. It sounds to me like that to make that answer different than never would be if you maybe weren't able to go to work, or you made a scene at some function.
Yeah,
that might resolve, but
if
you
I
never
did those
experienced that.
if I did those things like
Yeah,
we covered in the
yeah,
previous questions,
yeah.
then I think that's what I would define as
Feeling of
feeling of
guilt?
regret. But I like that doesn't apply to me.
Okay. The 8th question.
Sure.
How often during the last year have you been unable to remember what happened the night before because of your drinking? Your choices are never, less than monthly, monthly, weekly, daily, or almost daily.
Was less than monthly.
Less than monthly, okay. And number 9, have you or someone else been injured because of your drinking? Your choices are no, yes but not in the last year, or yes in the last year?
Well, yes, but not in the last year.
Okay. Okay. Number 10. Has a relative, friend, doctor, or other healthcare worker been concerned about your drinking or suggested you cut down?
Sorry.
Yes.
I jumped the question.
Yeah, it's okay. It could be no. Yeah, it's okay.
Please, what
let
are
me
the options?
let me share with you.
I forgot how this interaction goes. I apologize.
You're perfect. It's fine. No, yes, but not in the last year, or yes in the last year. Has a relative, friend, doctor, or other healthcare worker been concerned about your drinking or suggest you cut down?
The answer is no still.
Okay, so I'm just gonna score this really quickly.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So, on this audit, John, you scored a 9,
Okay.
which is on the high end of being in the second of 4 zones.
Okay.
It's considered a risky zone. And when I say that, I would explain it as someone with alcohol use at this level may develop health problems, or existing problems may worsen. And so, my recommendation would just simply be like aware if you're see your drinking increases. Like right now we're talking like one day a weekend, and we're kind of at that, it sounds like you kind of have a self limit of 5. The National Institute of Health would say that a man would typically not drink more than 2 standard drinks in 2 hours. So that has nothing to do with like your blood level. It just means like, I would almost say the word pacing.
Mhm.
And that might even be the point that many people stop drinking. And so you're young. I know, I remember you one time mentioned you have this great safety mechanism where you like Uber to like these functions so that you can Uber back. I think that's a great precautionary measure you have in place.
It's hard to forget the car if you don't take the car.
Yeah. And my only other invitation is to, as you've talked about these friends that you have in all these places and when you're at these military functions, like always have that like buddy with you, so that if you might need more help than you can give yourself in any given moment, somebody can step in. Yeah, so right now I wouldn't recommend treatment at this point in time, but I would look to see if there's any increase. Like if you see changes in your habit, whether that means increase in quantity or increase in frequency, and then
Sure.
and then
That makes sense.
we could revisit this. But I really and how do you feel about like what I just said?
It lines up with like with different things I've heard at different like functions. Like we've had discussions before at work.
Yeah.
Things like awareness like type like briefings. So it lines up just from a slightly different perspective. It's still like you mentioned the National Health Organization.
Yeah, National Institute of Health.
Sorry,
Yeah.
National Institute for Health mentioned average man would drinks about 2 standard units of alcohol in 2 hours.
Yeah.
That lines up with the little bit of a tangent. The Army recently, or somewhat recently, has moved from recommending responsible drinking to now they describe it as the 1, 2, 3 like guidelines of 1 being the average person will process 1 standard unit of alcohol every hour. 2, there's I'm paraphrasing, so I don't want to go into I forget the exact details, so I don't want to like go too deep into it. I don't have the exact notes on it, but it was like 2. It's like there's been noted like some there've been noted some like health benefits for drinking like two standard units of alcohol like at a time, like over like as in a day, like that's there's some correlation. I think I can't remember if it was heart health or something, but there was like some correlation with that. And then like 3 3 was funny. 3 was like if you're drinking 3 or more standard units of alcohol every day, that's probably bad. It was something like that. And I'm like, all right, that's pretty easy to remember. Okay, sure enough. That's the 1, 2, 3. They moved, and the counselor was explaining this to us. He said they moved away from recommending responsible drinking because apparently no one knew what responsible drinking was. So they moved on to it. They tried a different model, and we'll see how this one goes.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate John, you sharing with me like what you've heard in your training. This like 1, 2, 3. I think I can even keep that in mind. It's a very understandable application, and I appreciate your time and your patience with me on this experience. Do you have any questions before we go?
Not at this time. I don't think so.
I really appreciate this time with you, John, and I enjoyed learning more about you, and
this is very informative. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I hope you have a really great day.